Hey everyone, Dan here. We are about an hour after market close on Friday, June 25th. Today we're going to do our nightly update with SoFi. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And feel free to comment below with your own thoughts, opinions, ideas, questions, what have you. It helps myself and it helps everyone who watches the video after you. Okay, so a brutal week for SoFi. This is Friday, obviously, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Monday, we're up here in this zone, trading right around 22 in the 22s. And then we finish about, close to 20% lower than that by end of day Friday. Like ridiculous volume today. 36 million coming in volume compared to an average of under 5 million a day. And it's seemingly no buying pressure or buying strength anywhere to be found throughout the day today. Let's just go to the 5-minute here and zoom out, or let's just go to the 1 day. Just be clean about it. Seemingly nothing, right? This is nothing. And then just trickle down all day. Started in the pre-market, started around 5 a.m., peaked out in just free fall, essentially. To me, the look of this thing, I think especially if we go 5-day and we can compare this day, the second half of yesterday, and then all of pre-market and all of the day today, this has every indication to me of a couple of things. One, short ladder attacks. 2, wash sales. And 3, if this wasn't obvious, just an absolute crazy amount of short attacks, shorts flooding the market with shares, skewing beyond all belief the perception of what the balance of supply and demand is in SoFi, and just making it appear as though there is this unfathomable amount of supply that's looking to be sold and not enough buyers anywhere in sight to grab it up. It's really, really shocking. It's almost hard to say it's shocking because we saw so much of this like similar activity happening in IPOE. The big difference at that point was there weren't the unlocking of millions and millions and millions and millions of additional available shares that we saw once the merger took place that are now available to shorts to borrow and then sell into the marketplace. So with that availability of millions and millions comes stuff like this. I also don't discount the idea that some of this was potentially helped along with folks who had the fear or had the misconception that lockup period is ending next week. I think there's still a lot of that floating out. I will link in the description below my breakdowns of the documents for the lockup period. There's 2 videos, and it helps to watch them in order. And the extent to which you can sort of spread those things around to get that info to people would be helpful. So I don't doubt for a minute that helped push things down this week, but I think additionally shorts jumped on it as sort of like a kind of got you by the throat moment, feeling that retail was potentially fleeing because of this misinformation being tossed around out there. That's the lockup period is ending at the end of June. And where much of that misinformation is coming from, we can speculate on it all day. Ultimately, it doesn't do us a lot of good. The thing that does more good is to try to get the correct information out there. I try my best to meticulously walk through line by line why this says what it says and what I believe the interpretation is and how I think it then plays out in the actual time frame and market activity and accessibility of locked and unlocked shares within various time frames. But interestingly enough, if this sort of attack keeps happening and the sell-off continues and it dips below 15, then it will start to trigger a lengthening of the lockup period for 50% of the shares. But watch the videos, you'll see that information in there. But yeah, this sort of like literal free fall is, there's very few legitimate reasons for that to happen. Especially, let me just flip over here, just to be super clear. 4 hours ago, 33 stocks moving in Friday's midday session. That's not a bad news item. This was a day ago. Halftime report. Traders weigh in on SoFi. This is not bad. This isn't like a so-and-so's financials are completely distorted and they lied about all these. You would think as though something ridiculously terrible happened. Some really bad news item came to light in SoFi that caused 36 million in volume and a well over 10% sell-off in a day. But no, that is not what we see. We just see no reason at all, no logical reason at all. This seemingly no buying pressure, just absolute sell coming in, pushing it down, and much of that continuing on throughout the day. If we look at the order flow from today, 33 million US dollars coming out from the large scale order side of things. I bet you can guess who executes large scale orders. Probably wasn't you, probably wasn't me. And then if we look at the volume analysis, 10.92%, 1.85 million sell volume at 1949. I can't. We'll talk about this more in a minute, but the short interest, 528 to now 615, they're showing it as a bump from 23 million and some change to 28 million and some change. For reasons that I'll chat about in a minute, I don't believe those numbers for a second. I believe that they were gotten somehow, but I don't believe that that's a big piece of what's actually happening here. I guess before we get along too much further, just in order to kind of do the due diligence side of things, I should chart some price zones on the downside that we could look at for potential catch zones or areas to rebuild on support. I think probably one of the stronger potential zones right around here, 807-ish area, because of this support here that helped provide the running room in this big push up, resistance, 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 and then a bunch of previous support here as well. And then if we look at this zone, let's see, right around here, be another zone to grab support on to the upside at this point. Unfortunately, we're talking about values in the 19s being to the upside. And then another one here, right about 1872, you have this jumping off point here with the previous resistance, resistance, resistance support up here. So that's what I'd look for in the nearish term. This like 1756-ish area is probably another place to look. just below that. So a few catch zones coming up to the downside. But I guess the question is the extent to which any of this green activity that we saw toward the end of the day is resulting from shorts closing out positions. I don't know how much impact those rules that are meant to incentivize daily shorting only. I don't necessarily think that whoever's engaging in these things cares. That could very well be the case. I talked about that in yesterday's video. Okay, we're going to flip over to the short data. Before we get there, I want to mention a few things. One, if you want to be on my list to receive my newsletter down the road, this will be like a couple months in the future, planning on sending a once or twice a week email to sort of like supplement some of the information in the videos, provide some quick hitting trade opportunities, ideas for things that I just don't have the time to make videos for. If I could take 5 minutes and stick info into a newsletter for a ticker versus making a 10 or 15 minute video and then spending an hour editing and uploading it, that's a big win. So that's why I'm sort of like rolling out another medium by which to stay in touch with folks. But there's a link in the description below to a Google form. You can just drop your email. And then when it comes time to roll it out, I'll send everyone an email, say, hey, we're going to get this started. Here's what it's going to be. If you want to opt out, here's where you can opt out. Two additional things. Webull is the software that I use, the Webull desktop app. That's what you're looking at right now. They are also a broker, a free broker, offers options, shares, paper trading, forums, a bunch of good stuff. Obviously, I like their charting capabilities. So link in the description below if you want to sign up for Webull. And also another broker with a slightly different gear, Gatsby. I think that they only do mobile, at least I only use them on my iPhone, to do just really quick trades. I don't go there to do charting. I don't go there to do analysis. I go in there and I quickly buy an options contract or shares and get the execution in really quickly. Really modern UI, UX. I really enjoy the platform. I think it's great. So link in the description below if you want to join them there. Okay, this is, I guess, 1883, 1747. Is that close to what we just charted? Okay, 1870 something now, and yeah, we had something in the 17s also. But anyway, I had mentioned this on my Twitter. My Twitter handle's in the description below as well if you want to keep up with me there, but that might be overkill. But I was obviously looking for it to hold 20, thought there'd be a good fight at night. Well, there was a good fight at 19. But then looking for these zones down below, I had sent this out at 9:40 this morning when it looked like all heck was breaking loose. And so it did. On the data side of things, there was something that I wanted to look at on Ortex here. Hoping to have a link for Ortex in the near future. I was going to go here and just check out the news. Oh, don't know what that is. Okay. Check out the news situation. Today at 1:30, SoFi stock takes a dip, but still trades within technical pattern. I was just trying to see if Ortex, because they're typically very fast with things, if there was anything that they had that was like a really bad, impactful news item that came out today for SoFi. So I don't see anything here either. If you folks know of something, please drop it below, because it's almost unfathomable to see the day that we had today and there just be no news that like SoFi is going out of business. Like that's what it looks like, right? Okay. So we talked about this in last night's video, but I'm waiting for the first half of June fails to deliver data to come in. That is a strong symptom of potential naked short selling into the marketplace. And I tend to think that because they're claiming that, and again, not them like NASDAQ, this is NASDAQ's site. I don't think NASDAQ is claiming this, but NASDAQ is basically saying on 5/28, there was this much short interest in SoFi, and on 6/15, there's this much. I mean, it's it's like definitely a change, but it's like not that big of a change. And so I tend to believe there's some other thing that is going on behind the scenes that isn't being brought into the light. Naked short selling is potentially one of those things. It could be a bunch of things happening in dark pools where they're executing a bunch of buys in dark pools as to not influence buying pressure coming in to the stock, but then selling those bought shares onto the open market so that it is getting wrapped up in selling pressure and pushing it down further. That's another thing that could be happening. There's just a lot to look into. Let me hit the refresh here because this unfortunately was broken again today. Okay, so iBorrow Desk, we weren't able to get updated info on the fee or the number of shares available. This is the other reason why I have a hard time believing that the claim is still that as of 6/15, SoFi is under 20% of the free float being shorted because the availability is so low. And there are a lot of shares available in SoFi. It's not like it has a tiny float. Not at all. If you look here, the free float is 610 million. Shares out is almost 800 million. So this idea that there's only tens of thousands of shares available to borrow, even from just one broker, with a stupid high fee, doesn't line up to me with then, data being published that basically says, oh, there was like barely an increase in the short interest, and it's still not anywhere near 20% or more being shorted. I don't. There's something else going on, and it's going to take some sort of like handiwork to figure it out, but that's what I'm willing to do. So there's going to be more to come. This is all just sort of like throwing gasoline on the fire that is my being as it pertains to SoFi. Look at this cute stat. Last night, 45.16 short volume ratio. I don't know that I've seen anything like that with SoFi or IPOE or any of the other stocks that I look at every single day. But there's barely, there's not that much change in the short interest as a percentage of the float. Yeah, it's not changing that much reporting date to reporting date. A couple weeks, maybe 5 million increase, so maybe bumped up by about 20-25% month or reporting date over reporting date, but still nowhere near 20% of the float being shorted. I don't buy it for a second. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. And even then, I doubt we're far enough away from market close that this will be updated yet, but we'll give it a refresh. No. I mean, I'll tweet about it when it comes out, but yeah. With the day that today was, I think this is going to be a ridiculous stat tomorrow or later today when it comes out. This 35 million in volume, down 11%. No news. Okay, there's a lot of work to be done here, and it's just not done yet. But I will stay on it, and I will look forward to bringing you all more information next week. I will try to muddle through it the best that I can, try to drudge up what I can. As you know, a bunch of this stuff is incredibly opaque, very convoluted, very sort of like finance speak / legalese, trying to figure out what in the world is going on and what exactly certain words mean, which is a crazy thing to have to kind of decipher. But so it goes. It's just the reality. All right. Well, what a Friday. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. I appreciate you watching and sharing these videos. It means a lot. And I will see you in the next one.